Good evening and welcome. This is Office Hours. I am your host. I read mainstream science and engineering news while talking about how to become an engineer in industry. You can watch Office Hours live here on YouTube. You can watch Office Hours, well, supposedly live over on Rumble, but we're having issues there. And you can follow me on EngineerIDE at EngineerIDE on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. Please like, share, and subscribe because it does feed the AI algorithm. And lastly, if you have comments and or questions, I invite you to please post them below. It's great to be here with you. My plan was to be able to stream on both platforms, and I had that set up. And then at the last second, when I pressed press go, or when I clicked to go live, it I only went live here on YouTube. So I will the show must go on. I will continue on with YouTube tonight, and I will give another shot on Thursday and debug the issue before then. Hopefully I can figure it out. Maybe it's not on my end, maybe it's on their end, but we'll figure something out. Either way, there is Rumble hours on Rumble on Saturday nights at 6 p.m. That's exclusive to Rumble. The plan was to live stream here on YouTube and over on Rumble at the same time. But either way, it's good. It's good to be here. It's good to be here with you. I get a lot from this. I hope you get something from it as well. My objective here is to be a resource for people engineering. For people interested in engineering. You could be a student in high school, pre-high school. Well, I guess probably not that young, but high school, college age, even an adult or a veteran. And what I do is I read news, which is relevant to science and engineering, and I answer questions. So if you have questions and/or comments, please post them below in the comment section. And again, since this isn't live over on Rumble, I will be posting this live stream over on Rumble right afterwards. And so there we go. That was you didn't get to see all you didn't get to see all the crazy stuff going on behind the scenes. I got like 5 monitors in front of me, 2 separate computers, and just trying to make sure that I had both Rumble and Twitter up at the same time, so I can monitor both. And since this is I am a right now a 1-person crew, I am multitasking, and so there you go. But yeah, we'll have fun tonight anyway. And so off to the article we go. We talked about mathematics previously in Portland, and how they're going to be their strategy is to do a nosedive, and it looks like California's strategy is to do a faceplant. So it seems like a race to the bottom. From Reason Magazine, and again, the way I read these so that way you don't necessarily have to watch it. If you watch it, that's great. If you don't, you're in your car on a long road trip, or a morning drive, or an afternoon drive, back to work in the morning, from work in the evening, or if you're at the gym. Either way, you don't have to necessarily focus on watching it. You can just listen to me speak. And so that's the way I try to read it. And of course, you know me, I insert my own thoughts in between when I think it's important. And so, okay. So without further ado, here we go. From Reason Magazine, a wholesome libertarian publication. Let's see here. California State title: California State guidelines discourage schools from offering advanced middle school math. All right, all this is going to. Whenever I read this, it just kind of blows my mind a little bit. It's like, hey, what can we do? I mean, we like all this technology and stuff, but what kind of educational program can we put together to make sure that we don't have nice things in the future? Because that's what this is. This is one of those things where we can't have nice things because people have terrible educational policies. But here we go. The subtitle of the article is California, and here's a quote: California is promoting an approach to math instruction that's likely to reduce opportunities for disadvantaged students, writes math professor Brian Conrad. Published October 4th of this year, so it's about just about a month old, and still relevant because that's kind of a cool picture there, little triangle. But they ended up putting just a bunch of stuff in there to make it look fancy. Uh, oh, and that's, by the way, that's one of the drawbacks of learning math. If you learn math, then like all the mathematics like you see in your sci-fi shows, it gets ruined. That's how Stargate is for me. All the Stargate, if I see math in Stargate, it's ruined for me, so I can't look. But still cool stuff. The article begins: a small but growing number of American schools are reducing or delaying access to advanced courses. Most often, these changes have been enacted in the name of reducing achievement gaps between demographic groups. All right, I need to read this again because this sounds insane to me. Most often, okay, so it starts off again. A small but growing number of American schools are reducing or delaying access to advanced courses. And here's their reasoning. Most often, these changes have been enacted in the name of reducing achievement gaps between demographic groups. All right, so their plan is to reduce advanced courses so that way it reduces achievement gaps. That would, okay, so that would be the opposite of what I would do. That would be the exact opposite of what I would do. I would implement systems over goals, a strategy to get those kids who are underperforming to perform. Right? It means they're going to have to put. So the uh, the solution to this is you're going to have to work harder. That's the solution. You're going to have to create a system for these kids where they're going to be able to. You're going to have to take away distractions, and they're going to have to put more time and effort into it. Because I bet you, and because this is where I was, I didn't come from wealth. Uh, I didn't. I had growing up. I would have like for like a year and a half. I would have one pair of tennis shoes. It's all my father could afford to buy me. And I wore those things out so much that I would have a hole at the end of the shoe or at the front of the shoe. And so that was my clothing repertoire. That's what I had. Maybe a couple pairs of jeans, some t-shirts and stuff, depending on the weather. I didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot. Um, but we made do, and I pushed through it. So here we go. The reasoning continues. However, rather than helping marginalized students, these policies deny educational opportunities for gifted students of all backgrounds. Well, not just that. I mean, okay, I know the focus here because I've seen chatter like this out in the public sphere, so to speak, about, well, these are denying gifted students for all backgrounds. Gifted, by the way, uh, maybe you know this. I didn't know this until more recently, probably like a couple years ago. Gifted is an IQ of 130 and above. That's gifted. And so they're not dishing out IQ tests. I don't believe so. Uh, and whenever I hear gifted, I think more like I like well-to-do families, schools with resources in fairly affluent neighborhoods. That's what I think of when I think of gifted. Going to a city school. I know we didn't have anything like gifted. Matter of fact, math was frowned upon where I went to school, which is insane. And it's insane that the faculty and the faculty let us get away with that. They didn't say anything. That's crazy because learning mathematics, I mean, that's one of the quickest ways to flourishing. And what do I mean by flourishing? Finding a job that pays, right? Because the more money you have come in, you can get resources with money. That's what that means. And so anyway, it's crazy that they would say rather than helping marginalized students, these policies deny educational opportunities for gifted students of all backgrounds. All right, well, what about students who aren't perceived to be gifted? What do you do for them? I mean, the program, if you're going to create a educational program, uh, you want to create a program to try to lift as many students up as possible. And how do you do that? Well, you do that with, first off, overall encompassing systems over goals philosophy, and then you implement sub strategies into that, like schedules I've talked about before in previous podcasts. What time do you wake up in the morning? What is your schedule like throughout the day? What time do you go to sleep? When do you eat? Right? If you can make things uh, habit based and I mean, just one thing right after another, like a set schedule, like you do this at this time, then you do this at this time, you do this at this time. Kids will get used to it, and they will get used, and they will good at it. And those habits, that schedule that you implement and that they practice, that will get embedded into into their fiber, every fiber of their being. They will become successful because those are the skills of successful people. When you break it all down, those are the skills of successful people. No matter if they're in engineering, no matter if they're in Hollywood, no matter if they are in government. Okay, you may not like what people do, policymakers. You may not like those people in government, no matter what side of the aisle you come from, but they still have to abide by a rigid schedule. Meet this person this time, meet a lobbyist at this time, go to this place at this time, go to that place at that time, right? It's interesting that they never actually talk about their schedules. That's fascinating to me. Like Mark Cuban has a schedule. If you watch Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary has a schedule. Read Scott Adams, he talks about this. Read James Clear, Tom McCabits, he talks about this, right? Um, let's see, read Anthony Robbins, he talks about this. So if you start reading books like that, if you start following people like that, you'll start seeing commonality across the spectrum for those people, right? What time they wake up in the morning, right? Time they eat, what time did they go to the gym? Things become so automatic for them. It's advantageous. And they just grind it. They just grind and grind and grinding. That's all they do is grind. So anyway, we'll continue with the article. Anyway, those are the type of systems I would implement for these kids. So article continues, detracting, and they quote the word detracting, is an increasingly popular proposal among educators that attempts to reduce the degree to which students are separated by academic ability. Okay. It typically takes the form of removing advanced course offerings or delaying the introduction of these offerings. Supporters can claim Supporters claim that marginalized students are often wrongly placed or place themselves in less advanced courses, and that these students often stay on less advanced circular path on a less advanced circular path. All right. So it sounds like there's a lot going on, a lot of details here. They're kind of just alluding to things, but as I used to understand it, teachers would identify gifted students and I don't know how they would do that. But that's how I understand. Now that didn't happen in my school, but people that I knew that went to other schools, that's how that worked. Um, It could be different in schools that you're familiar with. It just the whole system seems kind of bonkers to me, because you would have a class where you put the students who are advanced, right? And you would let them do their thing in advanced courses, and then you would take another course, kind of like a varsity team and a JV team. You would take the kids who aren't so good and maybe are struggling, you would put them like in a class for like it would be equivalent to like a JV team, right? Or a minor, if you want to use the baseball analogy, you could say like a major leagues versus a minor leagues, right? You would focus, you would have different focuses. So um so anyway, that would be my approach. And then kids could, in addition to that, I guess I wasn't done with that thought. Kids could then move up from the minors to the majors. I'm just using that as terms. That doesn't have to be the term. They could use a different term. But at least that way, advanced kids would still get their stuff, and then the kids that are not as advanced for whatever reason, and it could be a number of reasons, right? Everything, maybe something as simple as they're just not being taught the approach. They just don't have discipline, right? Because what I mentioned before about all those people is they have a disciplined schedule. Which, by the way, that's how boot camp schedules are. They tell you where to go and when to go, and that builds those habits. So we'll continue here with the article. In San Francisco, public schools have eliminated accelerated math courses in middle and high school since 2014, and several Seattle schools had rolled out detracting efforts by 2016. Did I say 2014 before? So, uh, 2004 in San Francisco, and 2016 in Seattle. So now we have Portland, San Francisco, Seattle. This is their educational policy for mathematics, right? In order to level the playing field, they're just going to take away accelerated and gifted courses. That's what they're going to do. That's their plan. That's their plan. So they're going to hold. So in other words, they're going to hold people back. They're not going to push people forward. They're going to hold them back. It's like if you have a bunch of kids that are racing, and the kid who's the fastest, you just grab their shirt when you tell them all to go. You're just going to hold his shirt, and he can't beat them. It's not merit based. If you don't have a merit based system, you can't compete. You just can't. You can't have nice things if you don't have a merit based system. You can only have nice things if you have a merit based system. You have to have a merit based system. We all benefit from a merit based system, and we have. In this country, we've benefited from it. Now, what they're doing, that'll have consequences in the future. We don't know what the consequences are yet, but there'll be consequences for this. There'll be consequences for everyone. We'll all suffer because of these policies. I promise you we will. All right. I'm not trying to get you down. I'm just saying these are stupid policies. These are really dumb policies. So the article continues. Earlier this year, a Detroit area school district eliminated middle school honors math classes. Okay, so now we have Detroit. Detroit's in the mix. While schools in Cambridge, Massachusetts began phasing out advanced middle school math in 2017, though the district announced it would reverse course in August. All right, so 6 years, they phased that out. Now they're going to bring it back. All those kids who went there between 2017 and 2023, um, too bad. They say too bad. No way you can get that time back. Too bad. That's what I said in the podcast a few podcasts ago here on YouTube about what they did in Portland. It's like, oh well, we're gonna try this, and in the meantime, for 6 years, kids don't get are basically held back. They don't get access to those math courses. while they figure out if that's a good idea or not. It's like, it's not a good idea. It's a stupid idea. Why would you do that? What on earth would make you do something like that? It's like, here's a gun, just shoot yourself in the foot. I mean, it's the same thing, but actually, it's probably worse than shooting yourself in the foot, because this will create poverty. These are poverty policies. That's what they are. That's exactly what they are. All right. So, article continues. Outrage erupted in February when one Los Angeles area school eliminated honors English courses for ninth and 10th grade students. All right. So, Los Angeles is doing the same thing now. I mean, these are cities with a lot of people. San Francisco, more than a million people. Seattle, more than a million people. Detroit, well, it's less than a million now. It used to be like 2 million. It's like 700,000 or something like that. Cambridge, I don't know. I'm guessing Cambridge is wealthy. I think that's where MIT is in Cambridge. It's crazy that I think pretty sure MIT is in Cambridge. It's crazy, like an area that would house MIT, or an area that is basically MIT would even they would even dream of doing something like that. That's crazy. It's crazy to me. Uh, I have a story about MIT engineer, but I'm not going to say it because it doesn't make MIT look very good. Anyway, um, and then Los Angeles, 5 million people, I think. Greater Los Angeles area is like, I want to say 10 million. So Los Angeles, that would be Los Angeles Unified School District, LAUSD. That's what that would be. So, oh, I guess this was for English courses. I thought it was for math. Yeah, it says outrage erupted in February when one Los Angeles area school eliminated honors English courses for ninth and 10th grade students. Yeah, I mean, look, this is a podcast about science and engineering, math, newsy, newsy podcast, just to draw you in so I can give you some good stuff. But hey, look, I don't even want to see English courses eliminated. Not my favorite course. I still don't want to see it eliminated, right? You don't want to hold people back. You don't want to do that. So the article continues. Nah, I'm pretty sure you all agree with that. If you don't, please post your comments uh, in the comment section below. I'd love to hear why you disagree with me on this. I really would. So the article quotes here. I was born in Cuba, one parent told the Wall Street Journal, and it doesn't sound good when people are trying to achieve equal outcomes for everyone. Yeah, because it's impossible. It is not possible. It's not possible to have equal outcomes. It's just not possible. If you want a quick introduction, if you want the non-mathematical, because I could give you that mathematical explanation. Hopefully, it wouldn't put you to sleep, but I could give you the math. The math, it's just not possible. I mean, it's the probability of being able to do that's really, 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 really low. It's so low, it's insignificant. I mean, yeah, if you waited long enough, you could probably do it, but we'd all be dead in probably like 500,000 years later, maybe. Um, Let me just say this about the math part of it. If you think you can do equal outcomes, then go flip a coin for me and determine if it's going to land heads or tails next. Do that for me, and then I'll listen to you. I mean, you have to, like, 100% of the time tell me what it's going to be. You have to be able to do that. Nobody can do that, but you give that a shot. You come back to me. Now, here's the non-mathematical explanation, which is the one I probably should have given you in the first place. Social Justice Fallacies by Thomas Sowell. That is the quickest and most concise explanation of why this strategy is nonsense. Equal outcomes for everyone. It is not possible. It is just not. And Dr. Sowell explains why. So, article continues. This week, Brian Conrad, a mathematics professor and the director of undergraduate mathematics studies at Stanford University, wrote in The Atlantic about this trend and the support for these policies voiced in new curriculum guidelines in California. California's State Board of Education published a draft of the Math Framework, CMF. I'm assuming that's California Math Framework, in 2021. The curriculum guideline promoted a series of radical changes to how the state teaches math. A revised version of the CMF was formally accepted this summer. All right, Reason. Reason magazine. If you put CMF, you got to put California Math Framework before that. You got to let us know exactly what that means. I mean, I can deduce from that sentence what it means, but please be a little bit more precise with that. That's just my, um, uh, it's just kind of my thing, right? So, anyway, that's an aside. But okay, so Reason continues. Under the CMF, Conrad wrote, California schools are encouraged, but not required to delay Algebra 1 until ninth grade, meaning that students would be unable to take calculus as seniors without doubling up on math classes or taking extra classes during the summer. Yes, and I will tell you right now, that will delay you in college. If you're studying science or engineering, that will delay you. That will not help you. That will put you behind everyone else. That will delay you. There are people who go into undergrad, they have already finished Calc 3. Calculus 3 is multivariable calculus. They've already taken Calc 1, which is usually differentiation or derivatives, and Calc 2, which is integration or integral calculus. And in Calculus 3 is a combination which includes multivariables. So think volume. Think finding the area of a volume. So that'd be the triple integral. It's been a while since I've taken calculus, but I still remember a lot of it. And I could teach it in 5 minutes, at least the single variable calculus version. Multivariable calculus is a little bit more complicated. But if you understand Calc 1 and 2, you'll get Calc 3. You'll be fine. So it continues here. So meaning that students would be unable to take calculus as seniors without doubling up on math classes or taking extra classes during the summer. All right. So I had a trig professor who said that he asked us one day, he said, you know why students take calculus in the summer as a summer course? And we said, no, why? So we said, well, no, why do they do that? And he said, so that way they can take it again in the fall. So once you start taking math courses and you get past calculus, you're going to find that joke really funny. And it is a funny joke. It's super funny because it's generally like students will take it in the summer to try to get out of the way, and like most of them fail and they end up having to take it again. And if you're like, well, why are you laughing? EngineerIDE, why are you laughing at people failing calculus courses? It's because most people do the first time. Most people fail or drop out. So if you do that, you're along for the ride with everyone else. Don't worry, take it again. You'll get through it. It's kind of a mind bender at first. It is different seeing the world in that way. But trust me, put the work in, put the time in. Just do the things that your professors tell you to do, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Just put time in. You just have to work at it. So article continues here. The document also encourages schools to offer additional math options, including courses like data science as an alternative to taking algebra 2. No, you dummies. No. You take math first. Didn't you take data science? It doesn't even make sense to take data science if you haven't taken math. And there's another article from another city that I haven't gone over yet, but they basically say they don't say data science instead of math. They say, oh, well, we will, let's substitute computer science for math. So I was telling my father about this the other day, and I told him, I said, yeah, that's what they want to do. My dad's not. My dad is not. My dad finished high school. That was it. He's not an engineer, not a mathematician, nothing like that. Smart guy, ridiculously high IQ. But he said, he replied back to me. He said, "Don't you need math to study computer science?" I'm like, "Yes, you do. You do." Yeah. I said, "You do." It's like, "Yeah, you do." "Well, why are they doing that for?" Why are they doing that? I was like, "I don't know. I don't know. They're dumb." It's the only explanation I could give him. It was so, it was so funny because he knows, because he hears me ranting about this stuff all the time. But he knows anyways. He's a smart guy. So, so anyway, yeah, they want to substitute data science. All right. So what I say, I think I said a couple of podcasts before. Data science is the intersection of mathematics, computation, like computer science, programming, and business. You need math. As a matter of fact, you use a lot more in math. You'll use statistics in data science. At the very least, you'll use statistics. In data science, if you get an AI and machine learning, you'll get into linear algebra, partial differential equations, set theory, graph theory. Um, let's see what else. Um, I think that's it. No, there's more than that. I'm missing one. I don't remember which one I'm missing. If I looked at it, I could tell you. But definitely in linear algebra. Oh, I mean, you'll use the other ones as well. Oh, probability theory. So you could use basic statistics, but really probability theory is when you get it. I mean, that's where rubber meets the road. That's fairly sophisticated statistics. You're talking about statistics with calculus, but it's probabilistic. Anyway, if you haven't started your road on math, or you don't know math, and that probably didn't make much sense, but it's a lot. It's a lot. And my point is that you can't, and don't fret if you don't know. I'm not judging. Just know that you need those things in order to be a data scientist. I think those are the things you need. So, all right. So it continues here. Oh, so they want to do that as an alternative to taking algebra 2. Now, I would tell them, you need to take algebra 1 first, which would probably be like beginning algebra 2, which is intermediate algebra, and then college algebra, which is algebra 3, and then you can take trig. Then after trig, you can take calculus. Right. So you know what, and then only after you're done with all three calculuses, they said before, then you take linear algebra, then you can start thinking about data science. So like they're not even in the same ballpark here, right? They're just saying, hey, we're going to throw you in and teach you data science like right now, and you need all this math before you could even get to it. It's insane. These programs are insane. They're like, oh yeah, we'll just flip, we'll flop this for this. It's like, no, it doesn't even make any sense. It makes no sense. uh so anyway, so the author of that, so the article continues, but Conrad argues that this course, as described in the 2021 CMF, doesn't actually teach students math, instead more closely resembles a data literacy course. Now that actually wouldn't be a bad idea, but I wouldn't call it data science. You could basically call it a data literacy course, but as he says, as Conrad says, doesn't actually teach students math, right? And they should be learning math, some sort of math they should be exposed to. The coolest math professors I had were the ones who would have me read additional books, like books on mathematics history. I know one of my favorite books was The Calculus Wars, which was the invention of calculus between Newton and Leibniz. So you'll hear people say, or say, oh well, Newton, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, he'll say, oh, Newton invented calculus. That's true, he did. But Dr. Tyson conveniently leaves out that Leibniz also developed calculus. And more than that, the symbols that we use in modern calculus are not Newton's. Well, there's a couple of them that are, but most of it is Leibniz notation. Like the integral symbol, like looks really cool, kind of like a music symbol. That's that Leibniz came up with that symbol. So anyways, the article, that's getting kind of off. That's my whole math thing. But we're talking about math, so I figured I'd share that with you. All right, so the article continues. Steering sophomores and juniors away from Algebra 2 is really dumb, and we should all be fired. All right, I added that in. That's not an article, obviously, but I added that in. And that's probably what the article should say. Anyway, okay. So the article quotes steering sophomores and juniors away from Algebra 2 forecloses the possibility of careers in certain fast growing quantitative fields. That's true, which would seem to do the opposite of promoting equity. There's that word again, equity. Equity pops up a lot. What does equity mean? Ask 5 different people what equity means. Just 5 people. And nobody like that works in DEI. Ask people that work outside of DEI what equity means. That's fun. And just enjoy it. All right. So Conrad wrote, noting that, and we're continuing here with the article, noting that the state is notably skeptical of efforts to group students in math class according to ability out of fear that disadvantaged students will be placed on low expectation tracks that they can never escape. But for some reason, shunting them away from advanced math is portrayed as progress. Yeah, no, it's the opposite of progress. It's backwards thinking. It's bonkers thinking. He's right. He's absolutely right. Because you don't, I don't even know why they would think that. Maybe there's something going, there's something I don't quite understand about their thinking or their reasoning on these things, because their reasoning's backwards. It is the exact opposite of what you would do. Right. Like I said before with my analogy of the major and the majors, Major League Baseball and minor league baseball, right? They both have different focuses. Like you would create different systems for different levels of students. Right. I'm betting with the more advanced students, you wouldn't have to focus so much on basic fundamentals like skill building, like discipline and stuff like that. Whereas in the disadvantaged students, you might need to do that. But anyway, I'm pretty sure there's an entire pedagogy, is the word pedagogy, in the schools of in the colleges of education across America that won't actually help any young American students. There you go. Article continues. Conrad also points to a new working paper studying math detracting in San Francisco. The paper suggests that the policy has had the opposite effect as intended, reducing the percentage of Black and Hispanic students enrolled in advanced math and making it harder for students to take calculus in high school, he noted. So okay, I'm going to read that again. Conrad also points to a new working paper studying math detracting in San Francisco. Okay. The paper suggests that the policy has had the opposite effect as intended. Yes, right. Because their strategy wasn't to, they thought their strategy was going to help students, but no, remember, design is destiny. Their design of their system is going to what? It's going to, it's going, it's going to get basically it's going to have students are going to fail. That's the system. Students are going to fall behind, they're going to quit, and they're going to fail. That's the design of the system. And probably more students than would have before are going to fail. So there you go. All right, so and then it says here, the paper suggests that the policy has had the opposite effect as intended. Okay, read that part. Kind of just going back, reviewing some things, make sure I'm reading this correctly. Reducing the percentage of Black and Hispanic students enrolled in advanced math. Okay, so they're reducing it. That's the opposite. And making it harder for students to take calculus in high school. Yes, that's exactly what it's doing. And overall, it's going to hurt us all. It's not just going to hurt those students, it's going to hurt us all. Because potentially these are future engineers out in industry. These are the people who are going to build things that you and I use on a daily basis. And now we're going to have less people doing it because of these dumb policies. All right. So, article continues. He noted how later CMF drafts quietly removed the mention of the San Francisco Unified School District policy while still generating and generally endorsing the ideas behind it. Yeah, because it's confirmation bias. What else? What is the other psychological term? People don't like to admit that they did something wrong. People don't want to do it. They don't, and especially when it comes to kids, nobody wants to be seen as hurting kids. So I'm not surprised that they would quietly take away, but still try to push some of their ideas. Oh, if they'll just work, these ideas will work. Oh, they're going to work someday. I mean, we know everyone's failing, but they're going to work eventually. So there you go. Oh, she has nice teeth. She has nice eyes too. So article continues. It shouldn't come as a surprise that removing academic options doesn't magically reduce gaps between demographic groups. Yes. When schools reduce advanced courses, here we go. The students hurt most are poor, academically gifted children. I would argue it actually hurts. Yes, this is true. It does hurt poor, academically gifted children, but it also hurts the children who are not perceived to be academically gifted children. Perceived. I would say this is perceived. Perceived gifted, academically gifted. There are always late bloomers. Always. And you're listening to one right now. I bet none of my students, not my students, none of my teachers thought I was gifted. But there you go. Or here I am. So the article continues. While students with wealthy parents can enroll in private schools, hire tutors, or move districts to get the academic resources they need, right? Because their parents also have resources. Poor parents do not. Kids whose parents do not have those resources. Okay, I stole the article's thunder. Those resources will end up stuck in schools that force them to take lower level courses. Right. And for students who are falling behind, detracting can make it harder for them to get specialized help. Right. Yeah, because they're taking away those resources from them. So we'll finish off the article here. And a quote, armed with trendy buzzwords and false promises of greater equity. There's that word again, equity. Conrad wrote, and we're going to hear about this word equity a lot in future articles. California is promoting an approach to math instruction that's likely to reduce opportunities for disadvantaged students in the state and wherever else educators follow the state's lead. Yeah, it will face plant. Eventually, it'll face plant California's economy. That's what happens eventually. The economy goes in the tank because you just don't have. I mean, like I think I've said in a couple articles, a couple podcasts before. It's like we need more. We need more engineers, not less. We need more people studying math and science, not less. We need a lot more. People are saying you go over to London Real on. I'm gonna scoot over here. I'm gonna take the article off. So it looks like we're done. I made that mistake before by not checking more. If you go over to London Real on Rumble, you can get a taste of AI doomsday. And after he says AI doomsday, AI is going to destroy us all. Hey, by the way, buy this product. Right? You can get plenty of that. Right? You get plenty of, and we'll cover future articles about AI. And by the way, you need, in order to study machine learning and AI, I think I said this before, obviously, you need mathematics. You need to be able to learn mathematics. Uh, there's doomsday AI predictions, and that seems to be happening more frequently. The news is catching that. Business owners, big tech companies, are going to Washington to have policies implemented that restrict AI. I believe they're only doing that so they can benefit from it. It's a monopolistic move. It's not to help anybody but themselves. And I'm definitely a market guy. I'm a free market guy all the way. But I also call balls and strikes. I see it, I just call it when I see it. And I mean, that's what I would do if I was a big tech business owner like that. Yeah, you try to corner the market. I mean, I probably wouldn't do that. That seems kind of scummy. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But the psychology says they would, and it's happened in the past. So there you go. So anyway, yeah, I mean, really bad policies. It's going to hurt a lot of people. It's going to increase poverty, less job opportunity in the market, and or less opportunities for jobs in the market. And there's going to be an increase in technical jobs. These companies are going to be demanding skills, and we're just not. We're not going to, as a culture, as a society, we're not going to be able to supply it because we're taking math courses away from students, or at least decreasing the emphasis. And so they'll have to, kids will have to find other ways to gain access to it. And there's lots of ways. It's partially why I do this podcast. is to try to educate people. So no, I don't believe in like I've said before, and I think this is what I was alluding to before, but I kind of moved on to a different point. AI is going to create more jobs in the market, and we're going to integrate with AI. That's what's going to happen. But anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Uh, this has been a terrific show. I think the best one yet, even with the technical difficulties or the interesting technical difficulties or the interesting technical stuff at the beginning. Let me say it. Let me frame it as that. And I will see you Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time here on YouTube. Hopefully, I can get the technology to work, and so we'll also be live over on Rumble as well. And you can also follow me at Rumble Hours on Saturday night at 6 p.m. Central Time, and that's only over on Rumble. So you have to go watch me over on Rumble. And so if you have any questions, comments, please do leave them below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to be able to answer your questions, even if you hate me. It's fine. I hurt my feelings a little bit, but that's fine. And I will see you soon. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Bye for now.